All right, good morning. This is the Green Bay Housing Authority meeting for Thursday, May 17th, 2018. It's supposed to start at 9, but it's somewhat after 9 since I was late. My apologies again. We have roll call, so the first item on the agenda is the approval of the May 17th agenda for this morning's meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any additions to the agenda? Otherwise, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Then we have approval of the March 15th, 2018 meeting of the Housing Authority. That is also in your packet. Any additions, corrections, or modifications? Otherwise, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Otherwise, all in favor signify by saying aye.
This is Ryan.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion
For
carries.
Green Bay Housing Authority meeting. Are you
All
on the
right,
way?
next item, under regular business, consideration with possible action to approve use of unrestricted funds to hire or contract for a service coordinator
Okay, that's that.
not to exceed $45,000 for the first year.
Okay.
So you recall that our goal was to hire a part-time service coordinator that would help out in Mason Manor.
Yes.
And we've been working on this, doing the research on it. What we'd like to do is just get the approval for the money at this point.
Okay.
Because we're still working through the process, so we kind of did some figuring out what we thought kind of the top end might be, and that's the 45. It might be lower than that, but we wanted to get the approval for the money here, so that when we get it through the process in the RFP, we want to come back to get the approval for the money. We'll just report back on the status.
So is that 45, is that salary or is that salary and benefits?
And benefits.
And benefits,
The whole
okay.
thing, yep.
Any questions, discussion? Otherwise, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions? Otherwise, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, consideration with possible action to ratify approval of award of Mason Manor 4th floor common area furniture to Nemshoff for $6,289.92.
So as the cover sheet for this item explained, this was an item that we needed to have the money spent before the deadline from HUD to spend down our CFP funds. So I did call Bill and spoke to him about it, and he gave approval to move forward with it, and then we put it on the agenda here to ratify that approval. So basically, this is for some furniture for the 4th floor common area. We looked at all the common area furniture and determined that the 4th floor is really in most need of replacement, and with the amount of money that we had, that's the only area that we were able to replace the furniture. So that order has been placed.
Who is Nemshoff?
That's the name of the manufacturer.
Commissioners, I would like to introduce to you David Schmidt. He's our new building service coordinator. So
Good morning. Good morning.
this is Terry,
Hi,
Bill,
nice to meet you.
Hi.
we have
Welcome aboard. Although you've been
and
here
then
for a
you
while.
must know Nat.
She's my 8th floor consultant.
You might have another commissioner if you want to start that in a half hour hour-ish.
We're gonna try to get to 13:30.
Okay.
That's okay.
You've got work to do. Go do it.
See you later.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you. All right, so is there a motion to ratify the purchase of the furniture for the 4th floor?
Make a motion.
Is there a second? You approve the furniture?
Well, kind of like 8th floor has wobbly, really wobbly chairs, and that's all that we wanted was just chairs. And some of them are kind of on the brink of falling down if we have a heavy person sit
Okay.
on them. So, you know, that's what I was kind of questioning. I had Robin look at them.
Like I said, the purple chairs from 3rd floor, Nat, we're going to be transferring them up. We're waiting for the floors to get cleaned.
Yeah, that
And
would,
then to chairs do come in the colors, see if they do match the carpet.
Oh, that would be okay, sure, as long as those wobbly chairs were taken out, because I'm not trusting them.
Okay.
So we knew from the beginning, before we replaced the fourth floor, we knew that the eighth floor had bad furniture. And Jamie and I looked at, you know, is there other furniture that's not being used that we could, because you only needed the chairs, you didn't need the other pieces.
Yeah, we don't need anything
So,
else, just
right,
chairs.
so Jamie and I have worked out what could be done for that, so
Oh, okay,
that'll be coming soon.
okay. And
Can I just clarify, is this Nemshoff, is that like KI or Verhalen or? I mean,
My understanding is it's the manufacturer of the furniture. It's their brand, that's not the brand per se, but that's the name of the manufacturer.
Just because I never heard of it.
That's the kind that we have existing already, so we went with it. Well, they offered the lowest price, but we wanted to find something that matches our existing
Yeah.
furniture.
I was just thinking of buying locally with someone like WGNR who donates, might again give you some more leverage of helping people when they need, you know.
And unfortunately, and Cheryl can jump in if she knows otherwise, but the city's purchasing, which a part of our, you know, the Green Bay Housing Authority's purchasing plan does not include a preference for local.
Huh.
It has to be,
Lowest.
you know, the lowest responsible
Got it.
bidder. And this particular one, we were able to expedite the bidding out of it because the city is part of a national, I forgot what it's referred to,
Furniture contractors have, the state and the federal government bid out contracts for furniture. And then, people like Emmons or other companies then use those quotes that are taken out. So, have we used this company before?
yes, they.
So then, if you have a history with this company, they're, no matter who bids it out, they're gonna be quoting the same numbers, because it's a statewide government or federal government quote. We did the same thing for sixth floor remodel.
Okay.
So, was there a bid sheet in here?
No, because it's part of that national consortium.
Oh,
So
okay.
there wasn't any kind of bid sheet provided. It was just purchasing saying this is, you know, they've already been
Okay.
confirmed as the lowest bidder.
So Nemshoff is the company name or the furniture brand name?
My understanding is the
I'm sorry.
manufacturer. So
Manufacturer of
who we
furniture.
paid is called BSI. They are the ones who worked with us directly and then they placed the order with Nemshoff.
So BSI is like the company and then they order.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
And my understanding, the way that works is that the city, for example, would go out and say, we're gonna be buying furniture over the next couple of years, and they submit, and they ask for a request for proposal and bids from different large suppliers, and then they pick the largest supplier. So then anybody who's part of that group, the city of Green Bay and us and whoever else is part of that group, when you want furniture, you just go to that group, because they bid it out on a large basis or a national basis. A lot of, I know the water utility does the same thing for some of their chemicals. They're in a consortium that bids, so you don't have to go out to bid every
Right.
time you need something. But you buy all your product and from that company for a period of however long the bid runs for. So.
And you're getting a low price because it's such a large
Sure.
quantity that you can order. You're part of the bigger deal.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to ratify the purchase of the fourth floor furniture. Any further discussion or questions? Otherwise, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I should probably abstain just due to the fact I wasn't here. Do you wanna go over it for me, or?
That's okay. We have, the motion was actually made before you got here. So
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, okay. Next item, number 3, consideration with possible action on approval to award Mason Manor tuck pointing project to lowest responsive and responsible bidder, RJ Jakes Inc. for $131,642 plus as needed cost for brick removal and replacement. And that is in the packet along with the bid sheet.
between the bricks essentially. We found that there's a lot of cracks in that mortar, so it's replacing that, it's removing the old stuff and filling in the new stuff. And then it's also looking at other cracks, like if you look out there, you see the solid area of the wall. And if there's cracks in there, they will also be correcting that, replacing that. So that's essentially what's gonna be done. And then the alternative bid of brick replacement is just if there's any bricks that are in such poor condition that they need to be replaced, then they will choose to replace those.
Any further questions?
How old is the building?
How old is the building? It was built in 72.
Getting up there.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks a lot. I lived across the street when they built this building.
And Tuck Pointing has a life expectancy of about 10 to 15 years.
All right, so we have,
I'll make a motion to approve.
we have a motion, and I will second the motion. Any further questions or discussion? Otherwise, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, consideration with possible action to award replacement of Mason Manor second floor automatic doors, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, not to exceed $15,000. And that is also in the packet.
Yeah, so it's somewhat of an emergency situation. We have worked with a contractor who was able to get the doors operational for now, but they're very unstable essentially. That they go out very easily, and the last time they went out, we had to unlock the doors so that they either stayed open or stayed closed. And as you can imagine, that's not a safe situation. We've been having some difficulty finding companies who do this kind of work. So far, we got just one bid.
David sent them to us this week.
Okay.
Yep, so, LaForce does not do the type of work that we're asking them to do. And then we got HJ, they're gonna sub with another, Milwaukee Doors, and Tri-City was able to do the proposal.
Did you, are you familiar with automatic,
Doors of Wisconsin.
what?
Is that
Automatic
down
Doors of Wisconsin.
I think so, I think that's.
Well, there's Wisconsin Automatic Doors and Automatic Doors of Wisconsin. There's two
I
of them,
think it's the
seriously.
automatic.
Yeah, because that's who we usually get for our auto doors, but that's just for the push
Yeah.
button ones, so this is a little bit more specific to the auto open and close, yeah.
Yeah, with the sensors, he was having a very difficult time getting apples to apples quotes with the two, but we were able to get two of them and then one. LaForce just doesn't do the scope,
Yeah.
because it would be a custom made door with specific sensors.
So what was the significant damage done to it?
Do you know the details?
Normal wear and tear throughout the years,
Oh,
we've had to
okay.
do that, but we've also had quite a few tenants, hit it with their wheelchairs, which has completely broken them off the tracks and the wheels.
Gotcha, okay.
Isn't that the one that has issues with the sensor? It just opens and
Yes,
closes when
like
the
a
sun
grocery
hits it?
store, yeah.
Well, it's
yeah.
when the sun hits it, it'll just constantly open and close.
Oh.
Because the sun is triggering the mechanism. And that's one of the specifics, right?
Oh,
That
okay.
would be the normal wear and tear, I guess, and then we've had quite a few tenants physically hit it with their wheelchairs, completely busting it off the tracks.
Okay, wow.
All right, I will make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, consideration with possible action to approve the purchase of a duplex to replace 708, 710 North Webster Avenue in an amount not to exceed $185,000.
So we've talked about this property before. This is the property that's been taken by the city, by eminent domain for the reconstruction project. And essentially, we need to replace it with another duplex. And if you're familiar with the market right now, properties are selling very fast. One of our options was if we do find a suitable property, we could make it contingent on approval to the GBHA, but we thought, even then, there's some potential issues with the time lag and all of that, so approval to move forward with the purchase of a property if we find one. So I'm working with a realtor to look at properties, basically, taking a first look at them, and then I have David, who you just met, our new maintenance gentleman, to come look them over, and we'll, go through the process to make sure it's a good, suitable property.
What we'd like to do is upgrade. So the value of our property now is $95,000 to $100,000. What we'd like to do is buy a property that's not as old, maybe a little bit further outside, like a side-by-side duplex situation,
Yes.
maybe less maintenance. That's why we're asking for the higher amount of like up to maybe 185, because then we can use some unrestricted dollars to make up that difference from what the city pays us to the upgrade that we make.
Okay, and we have that unrestricted amount not designated?
It's actually, we'll talk about that budget.
Okay,
Put that in the budget, so that just gives us an opportunity to try to move things around in the city, but also gives us a unit that maybe won't need as much maintenance.
Right.
So,
Right. And I like the idea of moving it out to different, as you said, more desirable areas, but, I think that's a benefit.
Well, I didn't say more desirable, though, I just
Well, that's what it says.
different.
That's what it says.
I'm a
in the-
downtown resident, so.
outside the area.
But, I like that idea to get it into, different neighborhoods.
Right.
And so forth, as they expand.
We have a lot in that area from university,
Right.
so.
Procedurally, how do you anticipate this? I mean, my understanding would be that if they found something, we have to issue an offer of purchase on it. So is that what you're asking to, for the authority to issue?
Up to
that?
135,000, is that?
Right.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we'd have to, the market's really hot right now
it
for real
is.
estate.
That's why I said you have to get it in right
So we
away.
would
You
have to
might
make
miss
an offer
something.
contingent on the next GBHA meeting,
Yeah,
which could be 3 weeks out,
Right.
and then, usually that works okay with city types of things, but with the market so hot, I'm like, oh, I have 2 offers, so I'll go with the second one, so. This at least gives us the ability to work up to that 185 level, and then bring back to you, once we know where we're at. But we can write the offer then.
and I like the fact that you're looking at a side-by-side
Mhm.
versus a upper and a lower, because, if you're looking at a 2-bedroom, maybe one side could be made accessible.
Mhm.
So if you're looking at maybe 1 or 2 steps or allowable, it's a 2-car garage, a ramp in the garage. I mean, I would have somebody that I know would move in immediately. If you found something like that, that way it could be made, but it would need a barrier-free shower and it would need, and they're already on the program, so.
So maybe what we could do is work up to this 185, get that side-by-side property, knowing that we could do some conversions to it, and then come back maybe and make a request if we wanted to do some further rehab to make it accessible.
Yeah, I would like
One
it,
side.
one side would be great to have it.
Yep.
It's nice to have that mix.
Yep.
And so, that's just a suggestion, so.
Very good. I will make that.
And on a
motion.
bus line close to if possible. Yeah.
With those background, considerations, we have a motion, to approve and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Right. Consideration with possible action on passbook savings rate, item number 6.
Okay, so I explained how this works on the staff report here. It's a little complicated for people who may not work in this every day, so I'll try to reiterate it. The way the federal regulations work is that when families have assets, we have to look at the greater of their actual interest earned on those assets as compared to a percentage of the value of the assets based on the current passbook rates when the family's assets are more than $5,000. And then whichever of those is greater, that number of earned income on the asset is added to their other household income. So this whole topic relates to how much money is counted towards their income because of passbook savings rate. And again, it only applies to residents who have more than $5,000. And essentially, if if they are not investing their assets in a way that earns them a lot of interest, then this passbook savings rate would kick in. And we are required to review the passbook savings rates at least annually and adjust it as needed based on the savings national rate. So I looked up that current savings national rate, and it's currently at 0.07%, and we are allowed to have our passbook rate at anywhere above or below within 75 basis points of that percentage. And we cannot go below 0. So we could go anywhere from 0 up to 0.82%. And we have had it at 0 for the past several years. And if you think about how much interest, you know, you might be earning on different savings accounts, that's essentially what our residents often earn, which is very close to 0. So our recommendation is to leave the passbook savings rate at 0.
And just to reiterate, that's within the guidelines for their recommendation, that we left it at 0. Okay.
Right?
So is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
And I will, yeah, a second. If you have a motion and a second, any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, consideration with possible action to approve revisions to GBHA bylaws.
So we're gonna talk about this more in an upcoming agenda item, but you probably have noticed that the agenda looks a little different than it did in the past, and this is because the city is switching to a software to do our agendas and meeting management for us. And one of the items with this new software is it basically has preset agenda categories.
Oh.
But our bylaws dictate what those agenda categories are, so basically we are looking to amend our bylaws to conform with the ones, the categories that are in the software that's gonna be used now. So you'll see on page 3 of the bylaws in your packet, the changes to the order of business section.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve the revisions?
Make motion?
And I will second. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the revisions to the GBHA bylaws, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, consideration with possible action on approval of GBHA operating budget for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2018. Stephanie, I believe this is yours.
Yes. If you see in the packet, the budget is all in there, and I did do a cover sheet. And as fun as it would be for me to read through all of this, just a couple of highlights. Like was already talked about, we are looking to spend some of our revenue bond money, which is our unrestricted money. We're looking to spend about $150,000 of that, but we had over $1 million in there. But we do have needs coming up in years coming, so we are looking to spend money on our own needs, but $15,000 of that will go for the second floor doors, $45,000 will go for that service coordinator position, and then I put in there $90,000 for the 708, 710 Webster.
That's the upgrade we were
That's the
talking
upgrade
about.
we were talking about.
Okay.
So those 3 items that we've already kind of talked about are in this budget. Otherwise, it's just small upgrades here or there. I mean, cost of living increases, utility increases.
The pilot is in here, which we talked about previous meetings.
So you have a service coordinator position at 90, is this for a few years, because you have different?
On the bottom. it
Oh,
says
on the-
90.
Yep, on the bottom, we're looking to do the service coordinator position for a total of 3 years. So we have 45 in for this year, and then that 90,000 are for the next 2 years.
Okay, good, all right. So it's more like a 3-year.
Yep.
So the stuff on the bottom are things that
Yep,
won't
that's-
happen this year,
Those are
kind of,
next year things.
kind of working down the line for those.
$150,000 to replace the roof on this building?
That's only a portion of it because we're
Yeah,
looking to
Well,
use.
that's what I was wondering, I thought that's
Yeah.
pretty cheap.
We're looking to use our capital funds money for a lot of the other portion of it, but we just don't think that we'll be able to save up enough money to
Okay.
pay for it all through there,
Okay.
with some other needs that we're still gonna have.
That's what I was wondering.
We're looking to
Okay.
repair that this year, right? The goal is to repair the roof this year.
Repair it this year,
Give it
get
some more life.
10 years, I believe.
That's
Oh,
roughly what
okay.
they said.
Wow.
Okay, so that that roof replacement probably would change. The next few years, we won't be replacing it.
Yep, I'm seeing 150,000, and that's at the end of the 10 years. We're hoping to save up about 50,000 in our next couple of, next 5-year plan. That's what we're gonna try to do.
Okay.
What's the plan with the boilers? I see $20,000 there for boilers.
We have $95,000 set aside in 2018 CFP and another 95,000 set aside in 2019 CFP. So the 20,000 shores up the gap,
Ah,
because you never know how much they were gonna cost. So when we put that plan together originally, that's what we thought,
mhm.
but we were told recently that it's going to be more.
Do you know what the current boilers are? I mean, what's the age on them? Are they like the originals or have they been
They're
replaced?
close to originals.
Oh.
They
So-
must be the originals,
Yes.
Yeah, and
my guess.
And I think that it's a 2-boiler system with one being on and then the second being a secondary. And I think that they were talking about doing like more of them so that they were different stages kind of thing,
Okay,
be more efficient.
Need for updating when they update?
Yeah, when they update.
Okay.
okay, yeah, and that's something that, it's a critical.
Heat.
Yeah,
It's
well,
always good.
right, yes, critical system, so,
Because you know they're gonna go down in January.
that's right.
Yeah.
February.
Well, that's when they
Exactly,
get,
when
they're
you
gonna
need
go
them.
down.
Won't be
yeah.
like the end of the season, it'll
Yeah.
be right in the middle of it.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, logically, they're gonna go down while they're being used, so.
Right.
Well, right, but it's always that, like, the 20 below zero use.
Right.
Christmas
Compared to
Eve.
the 50
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, not to get too far off topic, but do we have a contingency plan in case something like that happens?
There is an emergency?
We always have our unrestricted money, which we can always use for that. And because we do have money in other years, we could use CFP money, we could reallocate in different areas and pull that money that we had originally set aside in, well, we haven't received our 18 yet, but 19, we could reallocate things and it just pushes everything off of the schedule that we have. We could always do that if they go down. That's why we're really hoping that they can last until we get that 19 money so that we don't have to change everything.
Right.
But worst case scenario, they go down, we reallocate what we can and we pull money from our unrestricted earlier.
So when are they gonna be replaced?
Hopefully 2019 when we get our CFP money,
Next summer. Next summer?
depending on when HUD gets us our answer, but hopefully yes, because they're, normally CFP is supposed to be told to you in April-ish,
Okay.
but we still don't know anything and we're halfway through May. We have gotten it as late as September notifications before.
Okay. But we're not gonna replace it
Yeah.
in the heating season.
Yeah, so
So let's say we had
Well, that's-
had an emergency in the end of December. All right, the heat goes down, the boilers need replacing. Do we need to call an emergency meeting or are we able to, or I mean, is it just a given that the emergency, the funding's there, we need to replace them without having the committee meet? Or does the committee need to meet on an emergency
Okay,
basis?
well, first of all, there's usually something that can be done as a stopgap, so that he can remain while we are, looking at a longer term plan.
Okay.
So that would be our first choice.
Okay.
And then if for some reason there wasn't any repair options and they absolutely had to be replaced, yeah, as Stephanie indicated, we have the reserve funds, we could call a special meeting if need be.
Okay, that's why I was just wondering how it would work for something with
Right.
that type of, dollar loan
Yeah, it's-
attached to it.
I guess I see it being pretty rare that there would be no other option to,
Okay.
be able to.
Okay.
Well, I guess my question is more on the practical side. Do we have a contingency plan that, middle of January, there's a blizzard and the boiler goes out, where do we get the heat?
So right now, they run a 2-boiler system, and one of them is worse than the other, so that they're talking about switching to the one that isn't so bad as the primary then, and moving the other one to the secondary. So
Okay.
that will give us a little bit better reassurances. So,
So we only use one boiler at a time.
one boiler, yep.
in other
Okay.
words.
And so they're looking to do that switch already to make sure that we can,
They go back and forth.
they do, but they're trying to switch the primary and the secondary, so that the one that is normally the primary is, that's what David had told me.
I feel like your question's more of an emergency management question.
Yes.
Right,
So when
that's
should
right,
we replace the
yes.
boilers question, like, what would happen if something catastrophic would happen and both the boilers would go? What happens at Mason
If-
Manor for heat?
If you remember what happened when our water tanks failed, because it is an emergency, HUD gives us the authority to go, to just do it without your authority and then come back to you with the information.
I
So-
understand.
No, no, Stephanie, you get that, but what,
I
Oh,
understand.
okay.
but what
physically, what's
happens-
gonna happen? What's
gonna
Jamie
happen
gonna do
here
when that
to the-
happens?
Dave
Right.
is going to call his guy and he's going to say, you need to fix this and get your fix in place now. Cause he's already talked to somebody who knows what the situation is, and so I'm sure that they've already like, okay, so what's our contingency? I'm sure that they've already set that up for that, so our maintenance guy is on top of it.
Right. I mean, I'm asking from a personal perspective, because I've had it happen. I had a furnace go out in the middle of January, and it was 3 days
So
before they
did I.
could get it fixed.
Right.
And so we ended up, going to a hotel for a couple of days, because they couldn't get the furnace in. It was happened on a Friday night, they came out on Saturday, they ordered the parts, a new furnace that come in, but they couldn't put it in until Monday.
Yep.
And so between Thursday and, we had to shut the water off because the pipes could freeze and,
I was just gonna say, what do you do with
you know,
the
so, I mean, that's my practical question of what happens to the folks here if we have no heat for 3 days?
We will keep heat in this building.
Okay, and then my next question is,
That's the answer, but-
how?
Because-
I'm not
yeah.
asking for an answer today, but I just wanna make sure we have something in
A
place
strategy
to,
for
to deal with that.
And I think that was the whole switching that, primary and secondary boilers around,
Yeah.
so that the one that isn't used as much is the one now supporting this building for the time being.
Okay.
But that is a very good point, and I can talk to the rest of the team about making sure we have a good, solid contingency.
Because it could be something that, again, it sounds like it's a somewhat complicated system because you're switching boilers. What if that control panel that operates all that, the boilers are fine, but the control panel that operates them gets fried, and so there is nothing to control the switch from one to the other, and it just shuts off. And,
parts
maybe
to be ordered?
yeah, maybe it takes 2 weeks to get the parts. But, I don't think you're gonna be shoveling coal down in the basement to keep it running, but, maybe we will, I don't know, take shifts or something, but I just wanna make sure that there's a contingency plan, that would deal with that if some catastrophic event occurred that shut the heat off. I mean, we've been through the water situation, so, and now we got heat, as another one, so,
Thanks for bringing
Thank
that
you.
up. We'll
All right.
talk to the team.
Where would you evacuate to? Where's your
We
spot?
have an agreement with Notre Dame Academy. It's probably something we should renew, because that was set up even before I was here. But we have an agreement with Notre Dame that if there was some kind of catastrophe
Mhm.
that our residents all had to vacate, we could go there.
We went through that with a bomb scare,
Oh, yeah.
and so learned a lot through that process.
my recollection is from that agreement, is that it's actually a multiple agreement that the city transportation department would send, city buses over here to pick up the residents and bring them over there. And then they would be in one of the gyms, they have 2 gyms over there, so they would be, housed in one of the gyms on a temporary basis.
And they would fit in their gym?
Yeah, they have 2 big gyms.
How many people are here?
About 170 individuals.
Oh, yeah, that's,
Big gyms.
wow, they have 2 of them,
Yeah,
so.
okay,
Well, and
And
that's
plus they have the facilities there, they have showers and
Yeah.
bathrooms.
right, okay, great.
So,
Hopefully it wouldn't be too long.
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
And on a side note, updating that probably would be a good thing, because there were schools that have just said that they won't allow voting in their schools anymore because of the security issues with having people in them, so,
Well, this is why I think more of an emergency
Yeah,
situation.
but,
But still.
Definitely
because
should
of-
renew it.
Yes.
Different players
Good
by
question.
myself.
All right, so we have item number 8. No,
the budget.
yes, number 8, the budget. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
And I will second it. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Item number 9, consideration with possible action on acceptance of GBHA bills.
Those are in your packet, so,
Anything sticking out?
from what I recall, no, but there, I believe is there should be 2 months because we didn't have the meeting last month, so there's March and April in there. We have a couple of new vendors, just with someone new coming on, they always, kind of do their own thing, and so nothing too hard, we make sure we get our W-9 so that we're in IRS compliance, so.
It's always nice.
So just a question, just so that I can understand this. So like on page 2 of the budget, on
Okay,
the
page
back,
2.
we have a couple minuses.
Wait, are you?
This
on
one,
Page
the
2.
bills,
No, that's the budget.
or the budget, so 1 of 8, so it'd be 2 of 8.
Okay,
So I see a minus 271. Down total expenses in the net income. Top of page 2.
you in the budget, or?
No, I'm in page, just the next section.
The COCC,
Yep,
here you are.
2 of 8?
yep.
Negative 271.
Okay,
So why is that negative? So yeah, I think I'm gonna probably need more information.
because prior year,
Yeah,
we overspent, and that was partially due to the transfer that we did out of COC, which was unrestricted funds that we moved to revenue bonds. That was something that we had talked about here
okay,
and was approved.
okay. All righty.
That's prior year information.
All right, and then under Mason Manor, if you go to page 4 of 8, we
Okay?
have a lot of minuses.
Yep, that's it. And a lot of that is due to we did the office, which was our reserve fund. So that's how you spend on your reserves.
Okay.
Is you overspend your revenues.
Okay. Oh, gotcha, okay. All right. That makes sense now. So we're also overspending in our 18-19 budget on 6 of 8?
6 of 8. Yep,
Okay,
and, that's because we're spending 150,000 of our reserves.
okay. All right. So that makes more sense. And so 8 of 8, so that's again expenditure, spending that down.
We're spending that, and also, in, like, scattered sites and Mason Manor, there's also depreciation, which is a non-cash item, but I still have to book. So
Oh,
that takes
gotcha.
up a
So you're
big
saying-
portion of
sure.
that.
Okay.
All right, any questions on the bills? I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further questions? Otherwise, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approval and acceptance of the GBHA bills signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 10, consideration with possible action on acceptance of GBHA financial report. So in your packet.
That is in your packet.
So are there any questions on this? We're still in the good, we still have excess money that we can spend down.
quarterly, capital fund program report, so that's the last page of this, section for the financial report, so if there's any questions about that, so we can address those.
And if you see, there was $1,165.05 left in our 2014, that was pulled down before the grant expired. I was just waiting on the last bill to come in.
And what page is that on?
It's actually after the close of it, it does not have a page number on it, it is this page here.
Oh, sure.
And like I said, we haven't received our 2018 information yet, so I can't put that in.
So it looks like we're doing okay. Great. Thanks for good work. We'll keep all of that. Good job.
All right, is there a motion to accept and approve?
I'll make the motion.
A motion, and I'll make the second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item number 11, consideration with possible action on write-off delinquent tenant accounts.
If you remember, we usually did this twice a year, but, with HUD coming in and looking at our stuff, about a year ago, we're trying to be doing this a little bit more often, just because then it helps us keep on top of what we really have out there, and where we're at with things. So we're just bringing it to you, probably gonna try to do this quarterly then.
And this would be, when was the last time you wrote off?
Well, it was supposed to be in December, but I think that we pushed it to January's meeting.
Okay. So this is 5 months later.
Yep. And Jamie is working so hard on making sure that, these accounts are being taken care of, and anyone with past balances is making their payments, and that people are not missing or being late on their rents. She is so active in keeping track of this. She just does a wonderful job at it, she really does.
We are writing these off for accounting purposes, but we are not forgiving the debt, correct?
Yeah, HUD does not actually allow us to forgive the debt.
You'd think they did.
So they get written out of my accounting software and into my accounting spreadsheet.
Okay.
And then these debts also go to EID, which is a HUD website that I upload. So
Okay.
these individuals cannot receive assistance
Yeah.
until these debts are paid in full,
Okay.
not even just a repayment agreement. And then they're also uploaded to our housing software, Happy software, so then you can do checks.
You're happy?
Yes.
And I also put them into the tax intercept program, so I will take their state taxes.
Okay, great, thanks. So,
Is there a
move to
motion?
place on file, I'll make that motion,
We need to approve.
or to approve or place on file?
All right, we've got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, informational, section E. Item number 1, civic clerk meeting software.
So as I mentioned earlier, the city is transitioning to this special software that helps us manage our meetings. So it helps us create the agendas more efficiently, and it also helps us on the back end with creating the minutes. So, the minutes are gonna be streamlined, there's gonna be less detail in the minutes, and basically you'll see in our existing minutes, we already have a timestamp, but basically the new minutes are just going to have, what the motion was and who made it, and then the timestamp is there and a link, I believe, to the video, so that anybody who wants that detail, then you can just watch the video. There is also going to be more involvement with the commissioners in regards to this, so you will be getting the agendas via email and the entire agenda packet via email and not a hard copy. So if you want a hard copy, we would ask that you print it off and bring it to the meeting. Matt, I know you don't use email, so you can be the exception and we can and you will actually vote on the tablet. It'll be very simple to use, there's simply a yes, no vote. And either before or after our next meeting, we still have to determine what time it's gonna be. The IT department will do a quick little tutorial for you, so you know how to use that. You will also get an email before the next meeting that has some links to some videos, so you can watch those videos to feel a little bit more comfortable with how it's all going to work before you get to the next meeting.
Robin, with that, are we gonna be able to look at the meeting agenda and all these things will be downloaded, so we don't have to paper print if we don't? It'll all be on that tablet?
Yes.
Right.
The goal is to go paperless.
Okay, good.
So, right, so you'll have this tablet that you.
Yes, so, cause I do that for other
You know, I
meetings, so,
understand
yeah.
it's sometimes not the easiest to scroll through that tablet,
Right.
so I think they might be looking at some laptops. But you can scroll through the agenda if you want, but then you just, the voting's easy, it's like, I think, yes, save or something to that effect, so.
Okay.
The council's actually been using it it's their second or third meeting, I think, so.
Great.
I have another community that I'm involved with that uses something similar to this, particularly within preparing the minutes. So it behooves us to pay a little bit more attention when you read the minutes, because it's not being transcribed by a person, it's being transcribed by a machine.
Oh,
So sometimes things that you say may come out a little bit different in terms of the spelling and the words that were used and so forth. So it just behooves you to pay a little bit more attention.
so right now, how is it being transcribed?
A person
Okay.
listens to the audio and
Okay,
types
okay,
it.
okay.
So with this new one, it's gonna be a lot more reduced minutes. Like I said, it's just gonna have the motion, and it's gonna be, we're gonna have somebody during the meeting on a computer who will kind of enter some of the information, motion made by such and second by, and that's gonna be about all there is. And we can also add that information in after the meeting, but we're gonna, see how it works to have, an individual at the meeting to do that, and then the minutes will be finished much more quickly and require a lot less staff time.
Okay, and then what you'll be doing is, having that video with the, so it'll be all recorded, so people could actually listen to it.
So you would go to the agenda and it's the timestamp, you could go right to that section of the
Okay.
meeting that you want to see what's happening.
Okay, so,
And coincidentally, Shelby Carroll is here from the city of Green Bay, who's actually one of the,
transcribers?
nope, she's
Oh.
one of the top dogs putting this thing together. and all
Oh,
that,
are you?
so.
Great, nice to meet you.
She's from the IT
Um,
department.
Okay, so if you are, then, so this is, so someone who's deaf is no longer gonna see what's read. I mean, what we're talking about. They're not gonna hear that.
There's gonna be closed captions on the video, right?
There is.
Yes.
All right. That was gonna be, is there gonna be closed caption? Yay. Cool.
One of the other things we have to be careful about with this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like being in court, and you have the court reporter, you gotta be careful about not talking over somebody else. So, because the machine
Sure.
can't pick out who's saying what, so we have to be careful about, you talk, and then I talk, and then you talk, and then I talk, not together, so.
Right.
And then also, if we have speakers that come, we need their names, sometimes there's spelling of their names, so we have that
Right.
correct as well.
Yep. Wonderful. Cool. Oh my gosh, I'm excited that it's closed caption.
Fancy
Way to
schmancy.
go.
So like I said, before the next meeting, you will be getting an email with a little bit more detail and links to videos that you can watch. So I really encourage you to take the time. The videos are like 4 minutes apiece, they're really short.
Okay.
But do take that time so that you can feel more comfortable, and we will let you know when that on-site meeting, we're gonna hopefully do it right before or right after the next
Okay.
GBHA meeting.
Very good. Anything more on the software?
Thank you.
Item number 2, development module of Lead the Way training. It's in your packet.
Okay, so I don't know if everyone had a chance, hopefully you had a chance to look at this development module. And at the end, there were 3 scenarios, so you'll recall some of the other modules had a quiz. This one was a little bit different, that it had 3 different scenarios. So I put the agendas, or I'm sorry, I put in your agenda packet these scenarios so we can go through them now. So I don't know, do you want me to read each scenario and then you guess what the answers are? Or how do you wanna guess?
Sure.
All right, so the first one, your PHA will be building new construction for the Spring Greens public housing development in your area. This proposed 325-unit development will be built on land currently owned by your PHA using a contracted developer and a builder to design the development. The units will be 1-story townhomes located in a distressed area of town with tenants who are low-income families. Your PHA will finance payment for this development on a 10-year term with an estimated cost of $10 million. Bids for the project will be sealed. So the first question, what type of development plan should be used for this project? A, turnkey, B, conventional, or C, acquisition?
Anybody know the answer?
I'll say conventional.
I was thinking that same thing if I had an answer.
Conventional?
Yeah.
Do I get something now?
So turnkey is essentially that a developer is coming in and doing everything, you know, you don't really have much involvement, but in this scenario, the PHA already owns the land, so they're not, also that eliminates, C, acquisition.
acquisition,
where they
that's what I
already own
thought.
the land. Number 2 then, what type of funding should be used for this project? Capital funds, choice neighborhoods, or mixed finance?
Choice neighborhoods.
And I forgot to bring my answer key with me.
I would think fixed. I mean, I would think mixed.
Choice neighborhoods, you have to apply for that funding, right?
I believe so.
And mixed, we're financing part of it, but it sounds like there's gonna be private funding as well.
Right, which doesn't appear to be the case in this scenario.
Oh, I was thinking mixed finance, like we'd be using different pots of our funding from unrestricted to.
No, and actually, more detailed, mixed finance is if there's co-owners of it. but the
Oh, okay,
PHA
no,
isn't
then
the
it would
sole
be,
owner.
then it would be capital funds.
Yeah, so capital. And let's hope that housing authority doesn't have any other capital needs because,
That's a lot of capital, yep.
okay, the second scenario, your PHA owns half of a 150-unit public housing development and the other half is owned by the CGI Real Estate Group. This housing development serves low-income elderly residents with affordable housing. The units are 35 years old and are being renovated to modern standards, including bringing existing buildings up to current code standards. Some units are standalone and there is one high-rise building with multiple units. The CGI Real Estate Group would like to add an additional 50 standalone units that will provide affordable housing for tenants who might not qualify for low-income housing. The cost to renovate the existing units will be $5.2 million, and the 50 new units will cost an additional $1 million. Number 1, what type of development plan should be used for this project? 1, force account, B, acquisition, or C, mixed finance?
Okay, that's where the mixed finance would come in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that one is partially owned by another entity, so that is mixed finance. If you're not aware, forced account means that we're using our own maintenance crew to do the work.
Oh,
So that's what forced account means. Number 2, can the public housing funds committed to this project be used to build the 50 new units?
I would say yes, depending upon what the funds are.
Any other thoughts? If you look back, it says the CGI Real Estate Group would like to add an additional 50 standalone units. So it's the other entity, not.
Oh, that's
public
looking to
housing,
buy, not
that
us.
is gonna own those.
So they know.
So public
Yep.
housing funds cannot.
And they might not qualify for low-income housing either.
Right. Yeah, that's very true.
And the near town has recently gone into bank foreclosure and the property is being auctioned off. The apartment complex is in a distressed area of town and it has been determined that this location would serve residents with affordable housing. Your PHA decided to purchase the apartment complex and turn it into public housing. There are 10 buildings with 8 apartments in each building. 2 buildings will require renovation for a total cost of $750,000. 1, true or false, the PHA can purchase the property although it needs rehabilitation.
True.
Everyone's nodding their heads,
Yep.
yes, that's true. And number 2, what type of development plan should be used for this project? A, acquisition, B, conventional, or C, turnkey?
That would be A.
That's acquisition. Very good. Any
Always
other
learning something on
comments?
these
I feel like we
meetings.
should be, I'm reading through these, I'm like, we should be doing these projects.
Yeah,
Sound pretty
I do, that's the last one, yeah, let's do that.
When I read it, I think at one of the last meetings it came out that that project that we had pledged 500 million for, or 500,000 for, 500,000.
Yeah.
Excuse me, is not going forward.
Correct. The TWG.
I mean, I think that was, it's unfortunate, because I think that was something that was
I
needed,
agree.
provided that.
Yeah.
Is there something that we can do to encourage other similar type projects? I mean,
Well, first, the developer of that project has been having conversations with myself and with representatives from the city, trying to mold his plan in another way that would make it financially feasible. So it's not completely dead yet, it's not quite as hopeful, but, there's potential that, something might be done with that. We just don't know exactly what that's gonna be. The other thing is as we talked about in the discussion of the budget, we looked closely at how much we have in our unrestricted funds, and we looked at what our own housing authority needs are. Talking about the elevators need to be replaced in, probably within the next 10 years or so. The roof needs to be replaced. And then we, came up with a lot of other little smaller things. Those 2 are big examples, but the HVAC units here for the community room need to be replaced. What else was there? There was just a lot of things that we looked at that we were talking about to make our property the best property that it can be.
Sure.
We really feel that
It needs some updates.
we need to
Yeah.
dedicate a lot of our unrestricted funds
Sure.
towards our own needs. We looked at maybe there's somewhere around 300,000 that, could potentially be provided for community services, but, we don't have hard and fast numbers on everything yet.
So maybe down the road.
Yeah. I'm not completely opposed to it. If a developer has a really great idea, we could certainly explore it. But I just wanna make sure that we're taking care of our
Oh,
own
absolutely.
first.
Absolutely. But again, I just think that if there's opportunities for us to help promote something like that, a project like that in some other way, or however, we can use our bonding ability or something like
Exactly,
that,
yes.
to help them out. We should make it known that, we're willing to help if we can, because I think we need those kind of projects. It fills a gap, as they talked about, so, if we can do anything to encourage that, let's be ahead. All right, thank you. And I'm glad to hear that we're still talking with those folks, and maybe something can be worked out.
Yeah, and I have talked to them about the possibility of bonding as well, so
Okay.
that's something, they can explore.
Sure. And it may not work with the project that they had proposed, but maybe they can come up with something smaller or something different, so hopefully they keep working at it.
Well, and there are other entities out there that can do housing as well.
Oh, sure.
This one doesn't go, I just think about what you were talking about, the need for, housing for 1s and 2s, that's accessible.
Yeah.
Those are things we could be working with NeighborWorks or Habitat or
Yeah.
Right.
types of agencies.
Yeah. And from time to time, we get developers over at Options that are looking to put
Mhm.
something like an eightplex up and having the bottom floor accessible, things like that, and having a mix. but it just never comes to fruition, you know?
Do you send them our way?
Oh, we send them every way.
Okay, because we don't usually get those calls on.
Yeah,
that, but
yeah.
You probably do, but then, that's where we can tie their money into it, you know. the
Yeah,
city
they come
has
to us to
home
say
funds
their need,
Right,
and what's that need, and
Right.
1 or 2 bedroom, and what is the exact need? Is it a barrier-free shower?
Mhm.
Is it a fully accessible? So they come to us first to even consider these things.
Mhm.
But so, there was that lot on Western next to the subsidized units on Western, where that house went down. That house had that fire.
Mhm.
And then there was, so between there, there was a lot, like where it used to be the electric company, not electric company, but electrical business. Can't think of the name of it. I drove that road forever, because I lived on that road forever, but I can't think of it right now. But anyway, there was a lot
Mhm.
in there that they were looking at purchasing and putting in a naplex. Never heard from them again. And we were
Right.
like, dang, and this was like 7, 8 years ago.
Right.
So I was like, oh, darn. You know, so, because I see such a need for that, and it would be a perfect fit-in for the voucher program, things that you're looking at. If we had those availabilities, that we could get those, even those vouchers, I don't know if you could move that voucher right in there, but at least you'd have individuals that could have housing that could use that voucher.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So anyway, so good, good discussion. And then I just have a question, and I'm sorry, because I am like not as educated in some of these things, but when they say bonding, what do you guys mean? Versus lending somebody some of our money?
So they're not using our money, they're basically using us as a conduit to borrow money, using our good name, so to speak.
Oh, okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they get different interest rates,
As a result.
the way it's set up.
Okay.
And it used to be they get better interest rates, but then there's a fee attached to that bond that they have to make a payment to the housing authority for,
Oh.
which is how we built up those unrestricted dollars.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's,
It wouldn't be as much as what the interest rate would have
Right.
been, but it would be something that would come back to us
Right.
for using the name. Okay.
so it's kind of an income generator.
Okay.
I think the last one we did, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the last one we did was the base settlement bonds. They
Yeah.
had,
You know what, you're right.
they rebuilt
Yeah, that's
their
beautiful over
contract
there.
or whatever
Yes.
they call it, and,
Yep.
we did the bonding through us for that, and I think we got a small amount of money back for it, but.
It was something.
Right.
A little less than $8,000 a year.
Yeah. Wow. We'll take it.
All right, very good. Any other questions? All right, moving on to item number 3, Langen report for the months of March and April 2018. It's also in your packet.
I don't have anything extra to add, but if you have any questions, we can try to field them.
Oh, so we went from 1 to 3.
The first page is Mason Manor, the second page is Scattered Sites.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh,
No, there
oh,
wasn't
excuse me,
there.
sorry, I
Yeah.
thought,
That was March.
yes,
months.
March, April, you are correct, yep.
So in March, he had 1 fraud investigation, and in April, 3. So did that include the past one from March, and he just had 2 new ones, do you know?
Yes, we have 3 open fraud investigations.
Okay. And one is just carried over from the March, okay, that's what I was wondering.
He's having a difficult time getting contact at the property.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the term fraud is very loosely used in this. I mean, it could be somebody, that had more income they didn't report, or,
Oh, something,
Somebody
okay.
staying there that they didn't let us know.
Okay,
so it's
gotcha.
not that they're,
All of our fraud related cases right now that are active is either unreported household members or lack of household members that are reported.
Okay, gotcha.
and as Stephanie and I know from the Brown County side, those rules are very particular in terms of,
Yeah,
particularly with respect to unauthorized household members. You
Right.
can't have somebody staying with you for
yes, for more
a
than
long
2
period.
weeks or, yeah.
All right. Is there a motion to accept and place on file?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Any further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, or 4, excuse me, occupancy report for May 2018.
Wow. You
Fabulous.
guys. I mean, you guys rock. This is fabulous. I mean, it's like a half a page, not even. You guys are doing great.
Right, usually, yeah, usually you would.
Great job, you
flip
guys,
it.
great job.
Yep, so right now, we had, for the upcoming Mason Manor vacancies, the 30-day notice, we had 2 tenants that just, one needed more, well, we had complete opposites. So one that needed more services that we just could not provide,
Okay.
and one became self-sufficient, so
Oh.
they exited Mason Manor.
Yeah.
For Scattered Sites, we did have, one of our families who resided with us for almost 10 years. They were one of the recipients of the new Habitat for Humanity houses.
Oh, yeah.
So we wanna congratulate their success in moving on with us. So we, are continually turning our units. We're at 30 days or less right now on average for turning a unit.
Alright,
And we're building our waiting list, which is really great at this time.
excellent.
And as Stephanie mentioned before, you can see the evictions of either an unreported household member or non-payment of
Sure,
rent that were
gotcha.
in-house tenants, the high standards that we
Sure.
So again, I wanna echo what Sandy said and congratulate the team. They've really worked hard. Ka has, worked really hard with the applicants to make sure to, get them into the units as quickly as she can. And Jamie has helped lead the maintenance team with being able to turn units around quickly, and Stephanie has helped in with, making sure that the payments and the financial side of it is kept on track, so they're really doing great.
Excellent, very good.
Yeah.
So question on the scattered site where it says abandoned unit, is that the family that moved into the Habitat? Oh,
No,
okay.
that family was not
Okay.
given a rent and they just up and left.
Gotcha, okay. Good job,
Yes.
good job.
Alright, I will move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions? All, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, housing update report.
So we had a few self-sufficient tenants exiting the housing program. As Jamie mentioned, one of them was our 4-bedroom house family, that they got the Habitat for Humanity house. And then another one was a Mason Manor resident who moved out to a larger unit. So one person going to a 2-bedroom. And he appreciated staff so much and he loved it here so much that he baked us a pie. So that was super cute. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was like last week.
Oh,
But
darn.
they saved you a piece.
Yeah.
It's sitting in the closet over there.
It's that little furry thing, yeah.
And then, with residents' cooperation, staff has been on top of enforcing our no smoking policy, so we've been doing really good with that. And mark your calendars for Friday, June 29th at 2 p.m. here in Mason Manor. We're gonna have our ice cream social with the residents. So please come. June 29th, and it's a Friday at 2 p.m. And it'll be here in the community room.
I think I only made one of those. We'll see.
Alright.
Cool, thank you.
One other thing I'll add, and I'll send you an email out with this, but both the NARO, which is the National Organization of Housing and Redevelopment Officials, and WAHA, the Wisconsin Association of Housing Authorities, both have their fall conferences coming up, and we do budget for commissioners to attend those. So if anyone is interested, that's something to think about. I will send you emails with details of the dates and locations.
Okay, I was just gonna say, do you know when and where?
The WAHA one is in September 17th through the 20th, 18th through the 20th, and that'll be in Sheboygan at Blue Harbor Resort.
Okay.
The national one, Atlanta, Georgia, and that's in late October. I don't remember the exact dates.
Thank you.
Alright. Did we approve the report? No, alright, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Alright, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Update on bed bug situation.
So we had our last quarterly inspection the last week of April, and we only found one unit that was infested with bed.
You go girl, awesome.
So we found that one on Wednesday or Thursday.
Wednesday.
And we had treatment scheduled for Monday.
anyway? Even though you found it, you had treatment scheduled for it already? Wow.
Well, we have such a.
Oh, you were able to have someone come in right away?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah,
Wow.
that one's in the middle of being treated, and then, we're kind of pushing up our next quarterly inspection to the last week of June, as it's usually scheduled in July, just so we'll have all staff on hands here, so.
Very good.
All new tenants are still being, what's the word I'm looking for? Inspected. So if we have a new tenant that moves in, we usually give them a week or two to get all their furniture in here. And once they say, yep, everything that I'm bringing in is here, then we get John Zandberg here and meet within the next day or two to make sure everything that they brought in is bug free. So yeah, we're maintaining,
Impressive.
doing very good right now.
So when you have, here you have, final warnings and then eviction. So explain those two things. I mean, you
So,
have before, but
Yep,
explain.
so I haven't had to update those numbers in a very, very long time.
Oh, okay.
We had a lot of non-compliance of tenants not getting rid of their furniture that are repeat infestations, where it's in our bed bug addendum that if the exterminator recommends getting rid of it, they need to comply with that.
Right,
Or they just weren't ready for our inspections, we couldn't get in there,
okay.
they weren't, so then, at that time, there was 4 tenants that received final warnings, and 3 were ultimately evicted because of
Okay,
their
that's what I was gonna
non-compliance.
ask, okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Great, good job. Such a great change
Next.
after all that hard work.
Next item is the date for our next meeting, and it is June 21st. On our calendars.
Yep.
All right.
Is that at the same time as this now, or we
No,
change?
we'll
Okay.
be back.
I'm so sorry.
And the reason we had to change the time is to do it in this room. We have
Sure,
a lunch
because of
program,
that, yes,
and
yeah.
that would have interfered
I
with
didn't
the lunch
even look.
program.
I
So
just
we'll be back
assumed.
at City Hall, back in room 310 at 10:30.
All righty.
3:10?
310, room 310, because room 604.
Oh, that's right, that's
Sixth
right.
floor, we're up
Sixth
there.
floor is,
Construction.
is under construction, that's right.
Yeah.
It's cracking me down though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just, Stephanie and I do this for in the Brown County side with these things that go to court. Just so that you're aware of this, you'll see it come through. All the filings for these sort of things with the court's office now have to be done electronically. And so in the past, when you'd file them, there was a filing fee of $94.50 in small claims court, and then the $2 fee for serving them. They send it out by mail. Well, now because of electronic filing, they're adding another $21.95 just for the privilege of doing it electronically. It's actually a $20 fee, and then they charge you. Still haven't figured out what the $1.95 is for, but they charge you $1.95.
That's probably credit card processing.
No, it's not credit card.
No, because they
have
get
to
you
have-
on something else for credit cards.
Yeah, no, you have, like, in our firm, when we file the Brown County ones, they automatically extract it from our account.
Okay.
So it's just another fee that gets
So it's that
attached up.
increase coming up.
Yeah, so there's an increase that you'll see on some of these things, more so from your
And
side.
I've already, we've, once you hit like 5, you have to do it, so I've already been doing the automatic
Yes.
filing for all the GBHA properties.
You just have to watch because the commission hadn't been giving us the extra $20. They just started giving us the extra $20 when we get it.
Right, and.
And that's collectible, I've gotten my $20 service
Right.
on.
We ran into this on the BCHA side, in that there's a statute that tells you what the court costs that you can recover on the judgment, and that statute wasn't amended to cover the electronic filing fee costs. So when we were originally getting some of our judgments on the BCHA side, they weren't adding that $21.95. So, I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but when you do a number of these things, it adds up. Now they apparently are. I don't know if I think the clerk's office just automatically puts it in there.
The last one I got, they did, but
Yeah.
the ones previous, I don't know if it was in that gap period, but they didn't.
Yeah, but they haven't amended the statute, so I think they're just doing it because they're doing it, so.
And you're talking about filing for evictions, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty.
Okay.
If I could add one more
Yes.
thing, I sent an email a few weeks ago about your parking pass for at City Hall. So if you haven't renewed that, please be sure you do before the next meeting or the next time you go to City Hall so that it's up to date.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There's no opposed.
No, folks, we're out of here.